back in the water. This is gonna work.
We'll make it work.
All right. Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is In Deep on the Delta, and this is the report for June 26th. I've got a special guest, and so far you haven't been bringing me much much luck, Joe. But Joe from Core Fishing.
Thanks for having me,
Joe. Joe and I are out here today. We're going to do a striper video, but Joe's going to join me on the report. He's been out doing a little bass fishing, and he's got some stuff to say about stripers. So we'll let you chime in here in a minute. I'm going to take care of some quick business here, and then we'll get into the actual report. And you know, this week, I mean, I got a bunch of chicken scratch here, Joe. It says everyone's complaining about numbers, no size, something. I don't know about that. I see that I had Tuesday 4 fish for 28 pounds. So I don't know what they're complaining about as far as size. Okay, I gotta run this back a little bit. Tuesday I had 28 fish for 4 pounds. That's why everybody's complaining about the size. You know, numbers are great, but no size. We'll get into that in a few minutes. I know you've been talking about the same thing, but before we get into the report, let's talk about the 10,000 subscriber giveaway. Last week's winners, Rich P for the In Deep trip and Tiger Tank for the River to Sea bait package. Haven't heard from you guys. We announced it last week. I'll announce it again this week, and I tried to get a hold of both of you through email. I sent you a little message saying that you were the winners. But Rich P, you've won the In Deep on the Delta trip. Tiger Tank, you've won the River to Sea bait package. Hit me up at scooper9561032 at gmail.com. Let me know you're out there. Give me your information to get a hold of you, and we'll get you set up. And you have one more week to call me and get a hold of me, and then next week we may have to draw a couple more names to give those trips away, trips and the bait package. Okay, so that's number one. This week's winners, remember last week we had the Ram Rat bait from Ramwood Baits. We had the Big Nasty Bluegill from Big Nasty Baits, and we had a Delta Chopper or a Delta Striper bait from Delta Gliders. So these are the winners for this week's. The Ram Rat is going to Scott Shubin, SCOTTSHUBIN. You are the winner of the Ram Rat. The glider bait from Delta Gliders is Gary Me Too. That's GARY.METO. You've won the Delta Gliders baits, and for the bluegill Big Nasty Baits, it is JB Hood, JBHOOD. So just like Rich and Tiger, hit me up at scooper9561032 at gmail.com. Give me your information to get a hold of you, and we will find a way to get those baits to you. Hopefully I can get them to you personally if you're around the Stockton area. So those are the winners from the last 2 weeks. Next week our drawing is going to be for another trip, a half-day guided trip with In Deep on the Delta. And the second prize will be a $50 gift certificate from the Bass Hole Tackle Shop. And again, all you guys that have sent in a report or sent in a comment in the last 3 or 4 weeks, you guys are already in the drawing. If you haven't, make sure you send in a comment so you're in the SKU. So when we pull the next winners, you might be the lucky winner. So with that, let's get into the report. And You know what? Let's start off with bass, stripers, and we'll get that out of the way because the stripers are still here. They're still in the Delta. I talked to Alan Fong. Alan says out around Liberty, they're still catching fish, but there's just not a lot of interest in it. And I know you've been hitting the stripers really hard, but you said you're weaning off the stripers and fishing for bass. What's your take on the stripers?
Yeah, this year is weird. For some reason, stripers are still in the system, and it's almost July already. And usually I stop fishing for stripers at the end of May. Usually the end of May signals the end of the striper run. For some reason, there's still a lot of schoolie-sized stripers in the system. Me personally, I'm not targeting them. I don't think there's any really big fish in the system, but if you want to go out and catch a couple schoolies in the early morning, late evenings, you can. It's no secret what they're throwing out there. A lot of top waters, jerk baits, swim baits, glide baits. Just the standard striper stuff will get you bit right now. But a lot of my interest has turned to bass recently.
Okay, and I've been getting that same report. A lot of the guys that are fishing largemouth are still catching bass, especially if they're fishing in moving water. And another bait you might want to throw is a chatterbait, or a lot of guys that are throwing lipless are also catching stripers. But who knows, man? They may not leave the system. This may become a year-round striper fishery. But anyhow. We will, like I said, Joe and I are going to do a full video on striper fishing. It's going to be kind of a precursor to what you need. You've been extremely, you've had a great year this year. You've been very consistent. You've had friends that have caught fish up to 20 pounds. You've caught a lot of teeners, and I know you're doing something that everyone else isn't doing, so we're going to talk about that in the video that we shoot later. And I think that video will be up probably next Tuesday. So we'll get back to you on largemouth here in just a minute. So that's the striper situation out here. They're still out here, still providing fun. And the other thing, the last couple stripers I go to grab them or to pin them down to get the bait out, and they feel like they're 80 degrees. I just don't, they feel like they're almost cooked.
Yeah, they're warm. They're warm fish right now. They're not like the fresh ocean ones where they're all like still shiny and cold. They're definitely warm fish. They've been in the system a while.
Yeah, so anyhow, let's get into the bass. And I want to talk about two tournaments that went on this last week, and man, it's really crazy when we get into this. These are the new gen tournaments. They had a team tournament Saturday and one Sunday. I don't know why they had two of them back to back. They must have had one canceled and just had to do it. But let me give you the quick results on both of these, and we'll show you just how close each day was. Saturday, the 22nd, 36 boats, 161 fish. The average weight was 2.6 pounds. Average team weight was 11.4 pounds. Jason Kolosevich and Jared Demancy, they won the tournament. Congratulations to Jason and Jared. They had 20.2 pounds, won the tournament. That was Saturday. Sunday, they had 34 teams, 154 fish caught. The average weight was 2.65 pounds. Remember, the average weight the day before was 2.6. The average team weight was 11.6 pounds. The average weight for the teams on Saturday was 11.4 pounds, 11.4 per team. And Sunday, Lorenzo Rossetti and Lily Rossetti, congratulations, they won the tournament with 19.6 pounds. Lorenzo had a 7.2 kicker on that. So 20 pounds won one day, 19.6 the next day. Average team weights were within a couple of ounces, and that average fish that's right around 2.5 pounds. I think New Gen had a tournament a couple of weeks ago, and they had an average of almost 3.5 pounds. So that average has dropped, and it's basically just kind of backing up with what we've already said, that there's a lot of small fish in the system. And you've been out bass fishing, and you've been seeing some spawning fish. Let us know what you've done in the last week or so with your bass fishing.
Yeah, so the last week I've been hitting bass mostly because I'm not really interested in stripers right now, but the bass fishing has just been what everyone's saying. I must have caught like 30, 40 bass, and my big fish was maybe 2 pounds. It seems like a lot of the males are biting, and we're not even talking about 1 or 2 pound males. We're talking about like 6 to 10 inch like dinks that are just biting everything. Doesn't matter what you throw. You could throw a top water right now, a chatterbait, a Senko, anything. Just seems that there's just so much small fish in the system right now. And it's like we were saying, this year's kind of funky. The spawn is still really happening on the Delta. We're seeing a lot of spawning fish, a lot of big females up cruising, and it just doesn't seem like those big females are biting yet.
Yeah, and I got another report from a lot of from Glenn Rhodes. A lot of you guys know Glenn. He's a member of the Delta Bass Club. And Glenn was saying the same thing. He caught a nice fish. He got one about 5 pounds, and the tail was just blood red. Right, you know, the fish is spawning. Probably, I don't know if he got him on a bed or whatever, but a lot of people are saying the same thing. Still seeing a lot of big fish in the shallows, seeing a lot of beds, seeing a lot of very small fry. So we're having a good late spawn, and I always think the most productive spawning out here comes this time of year. So I fully suspect that once a lot of these females recover from spawn, and remember guys, a female will drop eggs on 3 or 4 beds, so it can go into pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn 3 or 4 times during the course of, you know, February, March, April, May, June, and they're depending on when they start and when they stop. So they're dropping eggs, and I think that's one of the reasons why the bigger fish have been so up and down when it comes to you know, being consistent. So they're gonna start biting, whether it's this week, next week, or whatever. You know, they're gonna start biting. So hang in there, do what you're doing. It's all junk fishing. Everybody's sending in the same thing. Guys that are catching a lot of fish, if you just want to catch 100 fish, you could probably throw a jerk bait on and catch 100 fish. The bigger fish are coming on worms. I'm throwing 6 and 7 inch Senkos, and I'm still catching 6 and 7 inch fish. I do have a report, and this is something that I don't usually talk about, but I had a night fishing expedition last week on the full moon, and it was really underwhelming. The evening bite and the morning bite, which I stayed up for, was just, you know, very inconsistent, smaller fish, didn't get any big bites. I fished from 2 in the morning till about 7:30, and I fished the best tide in the middle of the night, and again, just never got one big bite. Threw big baits, threw small baits, just wanted to, you know, I wanted to get a big fish, but after a while I wanted to get a fish. The only thing that I can say is I did see a Sasquatch, one of the Delta Sasquatch out here. I've got a picture of it, so you guys know that I'm not lying about this. It came out about 2:30 in the morning, and is just walking along the bank, and you know, they're out here. This is the 3rd one I've seen, so I've seen a lot of them. Nobody believes me, but I got a picture of this one. So if you guys are out fishing in the evening, see if you can't get another picture of one of these Delta Sasquatch to back me up what I've been saying. So with that, all I could say is it's a junk fishing situation. Come on out. It's been hot. Get out early. You might get a good bite early. We were out this morning, and it was, we caught maybe 10 fish.
Yeah, nothing big, but yeah, the bite was there.
Yeah. They just weren't eating.
Yeah.
We had other fish that came up. We had a couple decent bites that didn't eat it. A lot of fish, just smaller fish, and it's been inconsistent. So look for it to get better. The other thing, you guys don't know what we've been through today with airplanes and cameras going bad and everything else. So I'm going to sign off while this guy in this airplane, I don't want to tell you what I've been calling him all day. He's going by. Good time to sign off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the river. Good luck.
This is I've never even seen this helicopter before.
They're after us, Joe.